Shalom, Yahshua, Shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. It's the brother Ash Abad, and I just want to make a real quick video. This is going to be in response to an article I had seen another brother of a different congregation. He had posted this on his YouTube channel, and I wanted to just go over it because it was a very compelling title. So it reads, BRICS, 21 countries officially agree to ditch the US dollar in 2023. And for those of y'all who don't really follow a lot of the financial mainstream media news, they're not going to show you this on Google or Yahoo or New York Times, because obviously they're trying to continue to push the good news in the state of America and all the subsidiary countries underneath America, like Canada, like Europe, United Kingdom, France, Germany, etc. Right? But this is a very compelling article. And long story short, this is just these different nations essentially separating themselves from America because they understand that the American financial, political, social structure is imminent. This is prophesied in the Bible, so y'all brothers and sisters understand that. But even outside of just the spiritual understanding of the scriptures, you can visibly look and see a lot of the different signs of the collapse. And the main aspect of the collapse is going to come from a collapse of the United States dollar. It's imminent. So when you see a lot of these countries starting to potentially look to band together to stop trading in the US dollar, it's because they're trying to wean themselves from being tied to America once that time comes. So that's why I wanted to do this article. So let's just read it real quick. It says, the US dollar is facing challenges from developing countries that are threatening its status as the global reserve currency. A handful of alliances in Asia, Africa, and South America are looking to end dependency on the US. The BRICS and Asian groups are at the forefront of the challenging the US dollar status. Developing countries fear US sanctions could hurt their economies and therefore want to strengthen their local currencies and economies. The de-dollarization efforts are in full swing in 2023 as nearly 24 countries want to ditch the US dollar. So that's what, if you guys have been following my channel, if you've been following other brothers' channels, any page, any Israelite page that actually talks about prophecy and the downfall of Babylon, you're going to see a lot of brothers talk about things like this because that is a sign of the waning of power, the transfer of power. Now, this is the key part of it right here. It says, 2 different alliances have officially agreed to ditch the US dollar for global trade in 2023. In March 2023, the Asian bloc was the first to decide to not use the US dollar for cross-border transactions. So for those of y'all who don't know the Asian bloc, essentially that's countries like Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia. And if y'all do any type of research, if y'all are in connection or you watch a lot of these passport bros, or if you watch different people who are trying to move to Southeast Asia because it's a better form of living, and also because their economies are growing, those are a lot of the countries that people are moving to, especially a lot of like older Edomite men. So these are some of the hot spots that a lot of these people are going to. So the fact that they're trying to wean themselves off of the US dollar is showing that they don't want to be tied to the American system anymore, because the American system is always going to favor America. It's always going to favor the top ranking elites. But y'all need to understand something. If y'all are in America and you're using that power as a form of you guys having this nice lifestyle, being able to afford your food, being able to afford the nice houses, the trips, the planes and all that, as these countries start to wane themselves off of the American economy, that's going to make your standard of living in any other country who's fully dependent on America, like Canada, your standard of living is going to go down the toilet. So I want to continue on. It says, the leaders of 10 Southeast Asian nations signed a declaration to stop using the US dollar and promote their local currencies instead. Additionally, the BRICS alliance concluded to stop settling international trade using the US dollar at the summit in August this year. BRICS will use local currencies for trade and is also looking to create a common currency among member nations. And this is a brother, because I'm not in America right now, so this is a brother I had met yesterday. And basically I told him I'm from America, and he was like, oh, the BRICS, they about to come up with a dollar. One BRICS dollar is going to be the equivalent of 55 American dollars. So you got to understand also, a lot of people of other nations, they're looking at what's going on with America and what's coming on with China and Russia and India, and they're seeing the different power plays. So just like the scriptures speak of, and I'm going to bring that scripture out a little later, the different countries that aren't the main players, like America versus China, any country outside of it, like let's say Turkey, or let's say Libya, or Zimbabwe, they're gonna look at what's going on with America and everything like that, and look at the different power plays. You're gonna start to see different countries taking sides. And y'all also understand, when you see countries taking sides, that's a sign for a brewing conflict. Because right now, we're in a monetary world war. We're in a financial world war where a lot of these countries are, trying to destroy each other's currencies and dollars with sanctions, embargoes, things like that. But essentially, those are just like indirect wars. Once it gets real serious, that's when you're gonna have actual direct wars, bombs dropping, troops dropping. You know what I'm saying? So these are just signs of what's going to happen in the near future. So let's continuing on, it says the trade will be settled within existing blocks of 10 countries and not with other nations outside of the alliance. So basically, it's an alliance where if you're in that alliance, like let's say you're Brazil and you want to trade with India, they're not going to use the US dollar as a common form of currency. They might use the Indian currency, or they might use the Brazilian currency. But let's say if you're Brazil and you want to trade with Mexico, they're going to use the US dollar. So it's not as if these countries aren't using the US dollar. They're just basically slowly but surely waning themselves off of using the US dollar. So as America's financial power starts to wane slower and slower, as time goes on, that decreasing of power is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until the day when the US dollar hits hyperinflation or deflation or whatever it may be. So I'm going to continue on. It says the Asian groups consist of 10 countries and the BRICS alliance is now an 11-member group. In conclusion, a total of 21 countries have officially agreed to ditch the US dollar for global trade in 2023. It says, read here to know what could happen to the US dollar if BRICS and Asians stop using USD for trade. And this is it right here. It says the Asian bloc of 10 countries includes Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. Also, the BRICS alliance includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Iran, Argentina, and Ethiopia. So as y'all can see, BRICS, they gained 6 members. A lot of these countries being oil countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Egypt, Iran, etc. And then obviously, like I mentioned earlier, you got the Asian, which is Southeast Asia. And you have to understand, a lot of these economies are burgeoning economies. So as America gets weaker, these are the countries that are projected to get stronger. Now, in the grand scheme of things, y'all have to understand that according to the scriptures, there's going to be a one world system or a one world government. So y'all have to understand that a lot of these countries that are warring against America, there is going to come a point in time where they all have some form of agreement when it comes to the world system that they want to create. Because we understand, according to Revelation, 13 verse 18, when it comes to the mark of the beast, all the people of the earth are going to have to use that mark in order to participate in the new world governmental system that they're setting up. But in the meantime, this is just what's going on the surface level when it comes to the Americas and the Western European countries compared to, a lot of the countries in South America and Africa and mainly in Asia. All right, so now I want to read this specific scripture in regards to some end times prophecies and what's going to happen when the seals are open, because the Most High's angels, essentially, they're going to start to open up specific seals that are going to bring different judgments, especially in the time when Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi starts to visit the earth more and more frequently. So this is Revelation 6:5. It says, and when he opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. So this is referring to money, right? Now, verse 6, it says, and I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see you hurt not the oil and the wine. And the thing with Revelation, everything is encoded. So sometimes it's hard for you to understand what this is talking about. So when y'all go through the commentary, it gives you a better breakdown of what's going to happen. All right, so this is it right here. It says, a black horse, and he who sat on it had a pair of scales in his hand. It says, the scales symbolize the need to carefully measure and ration food. This speaks of a time of scarcity. A quarter of wheat for a denarius and 3/4 of barley for a denarius, going back into the Roman currency, right? So it says these prices are about 12 times higher than normal. It means that it would cost a day's wage to buy the ingredients for a loaf of bread. This describes a time of famine when life will be reduced to the barest necessities. And that's why when we hear a lot of brothers speak about how when the collapse is going to come, a lot of the good times, a lot of prosperity that, especially us who live in Babylon, especially in Babylon, that amount of prosperity is going to be completely flipped upside down. So when you brothers hear about the dollar essentially collapsing, and you hear about different countries waning themselves off the dollar, it's going to show you that the currency that we use and know and that many people love and idolize, it's not going to be anywhere near as powerful as it used to be. And especially if you're in America, you're going to see a lot of people going hungry, a lot of kids going hungry, elderly people going hungry, because the money's not going to be worth anything. So that's the reason why I wanted to do this video, so that way you brothers can see and understand that yes, these prophecies are being fulfilled. Whether it be slow in your mind, it's moving fast according to the word of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, which is why it's very imperative for those of y'all who haven't been girded up in the spirit and been following after the ways of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi to come unto him under repentance and really get yourself prepared for all the things that are going to come upon this earth. All right, now this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 7 and 12. And this is essentially just an end time prophecy. You can correlate it to the time of Ezekiel when Israel was going to be judged according to being under captivity of Babylon, eventually the Persian Median captivity. But also, this is going to be a foreshadowing of what's going to come in the last days. So I'm going to go to verse 12. It says, "The time is come, the day draws near. Let not the buyer rejoice, nor the seller mourn, for wrath is upon all the multitude thereof. The seller shall not return to that which is sold, although they were yet alive. For the vision is touching the whole multitude thereof, which will not return. Neither shall any strengthen himself in the iniquity of his life." So essentially what's being stated is that at that time, the people who buy, the people who sell, the merchants, the people who consume, a lot of these people come into grocery stores, they get commerce online, Amazon and things like that, they're not going to be able to rejoice, neither the seller to mourn. But in verse 13 it says the seller will not return to what is sold, even though he's alive. So even though he is alive and on the scene, he's not going to be able to enjoy the riches of him being a merchant, meaning that many of the things that he knows and loves in his daily life, it's not really going to be of importance, because in that time, in that day, things are going to be so bad that people aren't going to be worried about how they can make money, how they can go into town and sell and get their merchandise off so they can get a quick band. It's not going to matter. Now verse 14, it says, "They have blown a trumpet even to make all ready, but none go to battle." So even though there was a trumpet blown as if it's a sound of a war, it didn't have to do with any type of physical war, but it's a warning for the times that are coming upon people who are living everyday lives. It says, "But none goeth to the battle, for my wrath is upon all the multitude thereof." So everybody's going to get touched with this, not just soldiers on the front line. Everybody, from the elderly, the young, men, women, it doesn't matter. Even those of the nation of Israel. The Most High is going to bring his judgment upon everybody, and only those who are of his elect are going to be the ones who are going to see it through these times. It says 15, it says, "The sword is without, and the pestilence and the famine within. He that is in the field shall die with the sword, and he that is in the city, famine and pestilence shall devour him. But they that escape of them shall escape, and shall be on the mountains like doves of the valley, all of them mourning, every one for his iniquity. All hands shall be feeble, and all knees shall be weak as water. They shall also gird themselves with sackcloth, and horror shall cover them, and shame shall be upon all faces, and baldness upon all their heads." So essentially all the people are going to be mourning and crying and supplicating unto the Most High because of all the things that are going to come upon the earth. Verse 19, it says, "They shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold will not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of Yahawah. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity." So essentially the people who've worshipped and idolized money and lived their whole life spiritually, financially, anything based off of money, in that time their gold and their silver is going to fail them. And just so y'all brothers understand, in modern times, that's going to be when the fiat currencies that people are used to is going to essentially collapse, and it's not going to be worth anything. There's going to be a lot of chaos. There's going to be a lot of travail. And then that's more than likely when the MOTB is going to come on the scene as a form of relief and recovery to the people who had to deal with the states of what's going on. But you obviously know that that's going to come with the lake of fire, harsh judgment, wrath, indignation of the Most High Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. So just a quick video I wanted to go over. Y'all brothers prepare accordingly, be prudent. and I'll catch y'all in the next video. I give all praises to Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. Until next time, shalom.